see me coming, you better hold on tight.
I think when you get on the field, you have to flip a switch if you want to be one of the greats.
He's thrown for 7 and now he's rushed for 1.
Burrow going to launch downfield. Touchdown!
Burrow said, time to fit me for that rig.
So many things we don't know about what will happen in 10 days, but we think we know what will happen with that guy, Joe Burrow, expected to be the third consecutive quarterback to go #1 overall. And here's Laura Rutledge, who has covered not only Burrow's entire career, but that of the previous 2. Laura, let's take a look backwards so we can project forwards.
Well, Greeny, it's so interesting to track #1 overall picks and see how they end up. And of course, as you mentioned, there's Joe Burrow this year, but the last 2 years, those #1 overall picks have a whole lot in common.
With the first pick in the NFL draft.
What do you get with the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft?
Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, quarterback, Oklahoma.
Well, for 2 straight years, it's gotten you an Oklahoma quarterback who's also won the Heisman Trophy. Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray have one more thing in common. They're set up for enormous seasons ahead.
Baker Mayfield is going to be the best quarterback in that division.
I'm not talking about a new and improved Baker. I'm saying he'll just get back to being the player he's always been. The Baker who set the rookie touchdown record in 2018 and led the Browns to their best record in more than a decade. The Baker who's learned a few things along the way.
Let's just be honest. I put my foot in my mouth a lot this past year, and I'm going to internalize that, and I think that's the way I need to handle it.
Let's not forget, the Browns have what looks like a fantasy roster when it comes to offensive weapons. Under Kevin Stefanski, his 4th NFL head coach in 3 seasons, Baker will finally find the magic we thought we'd see last season. How about last year's #1 pick?
Murray's going to score. Touchdown!
Kyler Murray had a really good year. Kyler Murray is that talented.
You know, the guy many said was too short with the coach who wasn't supposed to succeed. Turns out Kyler did just fine, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2019. He was the 2nd most accurate quarterback on deep throws behind only Russell Wilson, and now he has DeAndre Hopkins, who catches everything. Kyler beat Baker the only time they faced off as pros, but they'll compete for a lot more down the road, maybe even personalized hardware. If you don't believe in these 2 quarterbacks, it's time to start sooner rather than later.
So much of being a #1 overall pick has to do with your situation. And when it relates to Baker Mayfield specifically, you heard it there. Kevin Stefanski, his 4th NFL head coach, but also his 6th head coach in 5 seasons, going Greeny all the way back to 2016 at Oklahoma.
And so how does Burrow fit in with those 2? And we'll bring Dan and Marcus in here. But, Laura, I'll start with you because, again, you were there with him through this. And, frankly, Mayfield was phenomenal in college. Murray was phenomenal in college. Burrow had a season that was better than maybe any we've ever seen. How does Burrow fit if you're putting them in sort of a pecking order?
Yeah, it's hard to say, one way or the other, because so much of it does matter on what's going to happen at their next level. But I think if I were to choose between the 3 to start an organization right now, I would still choose Kyler Murray. And this is so hard for me because I love Joe Burrow and I think that Baker Mayfield's phenomenal. But Kyler Murray is a guy that, first of all, I've never seen someone hate losing more than Kyler Murray. It eats at him. It absolutely gets to every part of his being. Also, in today's NFL, this is the other big reason why I would start my organization with Kyler Murray. The athleticism is so important. You look at what's important right now for the future of the league, the quarterbacks we talk about. It's Lamar Jackson. It's, of course, Patrick Mahomes. It's Deshaun Watson. These guys that have that complement of athletic ability and can be dynamic athletes, but can also throw the football so well. Kyler Murray fits into that mold for me, and so that's why I would pick him.
It's an interesting question. Dan, same to you. Of those 3 guys out there right now for you to choose from, which one are you taking?
I would take Joe Burrow to start my organization right now, to those 3 guys, Greeny. Everything that we look at with the quarterback position and we tie it to all-time greats, Joe Burrow has that stuff. Like, if you talk movement in the pocket, Joe Burrow's got it in folds. Like, if you're talking about the ability to see the field, Joe Burrow's, that's one of his great strengths. Ball placement. Joe Burrow has elite NFL ball placement. My most favorite thing about him is there's just zero panic in his game. Like, zero panic. And these are things that we tie to guys who are all-time greats. Joe Namath and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. And it seems like Burrow just has a little bit of each of that, or that trait from each one of those guys. I would take Joe Burrow because he's got so many things in his game that I see as the most important attributes to quarterback play.
How about you, Marcus?
Yeah, it's Joe Burrow for me, and I go back to him being carried off the field after Alabama win. 8 years, obviously, we were going to get up the following week. But when you think about what this guy accomplished during one season, not from a number standpoint, from how his teammates respected and knew that they were going to win the game because he was playing quarterback. The intangible things, and not saying that Kyle and Baker doesn't have that because their truth followed them as well. But I've never seen a culture change or a culture shift in any football organization as long as I've been covering it, and almost since I've been playing it, than when I saw Joe Burrow and how his LSU teammates responded and reacted to him, and also how he changed the culture of LSU not having a quarterback for so much time. So when I think about the intangible things, we know what he did on the field. That's not up for discussion. When I look behind the scenes and how Joe Burrow affected everyone around him, from players including coaches, that's the guy that I would start with as well.
All right, so you guys aren't getting off quite this easy. You know I have a wrinkle. I only have about a minute and a half. Laura, you're first. If I were to add Tua Tagovailoa to this mix, would it change your pick?
Oh, man. No. I'm still going to go with Kyler Murray, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that so far, just maybe it's luck, maybe it has more to do with something else, but he's been more durable, and that's super important as well.
Danny?
It wouldn't change my pick, Greeny. I think that highly of Joe Burrow. I think in 15 years from now, we're going to look back and talk about Joe Burrow as being one of the better quarterbacks we've seen in the NFL ever.
I got one more shot. Marcus? Okay, it's just the face. You know what? Sometimes the face tells the entire story. What is that? A picture is worth 1,000 words? Swagu's face is worth 1,000,000 words. I got it. But in the next hour, I'll give you another option that might be better than any of these we've described, and that's an argument I'm going to win. Meanwhile, coming up next, after we wrap up today, it will be First Take, followed by SportsCenter, and then NFL Live. At 3 o'clock, Rachel Nichols on the Jump returns. Then it's our look at this year's quarterback draft class. SportsCenter is back at 5. The PTI guys will join at 5:30, and we cap another day here, a full day on ESPN with SportsCenter tonight. We are here with you to get through this together all day